And just like that, we are here. We are hell of a show. Demon Phil here. Thank you all for being here and watching this episode. We're going to get going here very shortly on this. If you're watching this, because I know it's going to be pre-recorded, watching this later, go ahead and start sharing this out because you're going to want to get more eyes on this. We got some great guests back here tonight. Return guest, actually. I don't know if they enjoy the show so much or if there's just something wrong with them and they're just not picking up the fact that, this is just my show. But either way, we're happy that they're back and chatting with us a little bit. So we're going to go ahead and get started on that and introduce my guest up here. We have got two guests up here in the back room tonight from Bad Bug Media. We've got Scott Wilke and Mike Tenner.
Hello.
What's going on, guys?
Not much. Thanks for having us.
Hey, no problem. It's my absolute pleasure having y'all on. We have a blast each time that y'all have been on here, so we're going to have some fun, I think, tonight as well. Before we get started into too much of the shenanigans and everything, because there's always shenanigans, Scott, go ahead and let us know, who you are, what you're working on, and kind of give us the spiel of what you're doing over there.
Yeah, Scott Wilke, writer, Periwinkle, Dead and Moon, Undercity, Hypergeist, what we're talking about. Got some new titles coming out. But yeah, just work with Bad Bug. Do some stuff with About Time Comics as well, Red Scare and Legend of Everett Forge. So that's what I'm up to.
So you're bored. You have nothing to do, right?
I'm super bored. So anybody wants me to write some stuff, let me know.
And Mike, what about you? Are you bored too? You just have nothing going on over there?
Yeah. And like Scott saying that makes me think, man, I should be like delegating more to him because like I'm overwhelmed here. No, I'm Mike. I'm the creative director. For lack of a better word, I don't know what I am, but I
he's everything.
Started in Bad Bug Media, and now it's been a nice group of creators working together to come up with some pretty fun and unique titles. So we're a growing independent comic book publisher right now. You'll find us mostly through crowdfunding. We're not really in retail shops or anything like that just yet. But follow us there. We're on social media as well. Awesome. And now what we're working on, we're going to talk about Hypergeist, but next year, I went over it with the guys in the group, and I was going over each quarter the amount of titles that we have releasing. I actually am in front of the computer right now where I built that, and we have it's 11 titles releasing on Kickstarter in Q1. So that's just in Q1, and then it's I think Q2. It's 9 in Q2, 8 in Q3, 8 in Q4. So we got a lot going on.
Yeah.
I know production companies that'll do like 8, in a year, and they're like, "Oh my gosh,
I'm
tired." So I mean,
right?
you've got the minions working for you, right? You finally got a hold of Gru's minions, and you just got those little yellow guys doing everything for you now.
Dude, I need more. I just hired one of them. I had my first official staff member. Scott's a partner, so I don't really think of him as a staff writer, but that is essentially what he is. But he does so much more. But first actual employee is with shipping and fulfillment. And it blew my mind how much she's helped. Just having one extra body here to help with shipping out the rewards.
That's awesome.
So all I need is one more, and it doesn't matter how many books we put out. We'll be able to get them out quickly. I mean, we just did the Hypergeist shipment and knocked it out in like 5 hours. So total. So yeah, we can go fast. So yeah, there's a lot going on, but because there's more hands involved, it doesn't seem that overwhelming anymore.
That is awesome. Good. I mean, be able to get that kind of productivity out with, and still keep up to pace with what you're doing on all of these titles coming out there, because you got quite a few. And we're going to be talking about Hypergeist 2 is on Kickstarter right now. We'll be talking about that here shortly. But Bad Bug in general, I mean, you've had several titles that have already hit and done very well so far. And there are some that are continuations, some that are brand new. and they're all still getting a lot of eyes on there. I mean, I'm constantly seeing more and more on your backer totals. Your backer totals are consistently going up on your projects, which is awesome. That shows that you're definitely getting the growth on there. What kind of is a process that you're having on that to make sure that you're getting a little more growth on each one?
Well, I guess this one I could probably shed some light on. We have two divisions basically. One is the passion creator-owned content, and we know how traditional independent comics do through crowdfunding. They do moderately well. They make their money back on their budget, but it's not super profitable. So we started going into the more adult areas, and just out of curiosity, wanted to see how we would do if we really tried hard and put a lot of effort into making like really good erotic books. And then the money exploded. So that money we use to not only, ship the rewards and pay for all the art and fund the future issue of that series, there's also money that we make additionally that we can reinvest in the creator-owned content, so that even if there is, like, let's say a random issue of a series that doesn't fund as well as it should, we have a supplemental income there that kind of helps support those books along the way. So that's been kind of that's the status quo this past year. And that's how we've been able to grow like this, is because we're doing that.
That is awesome with that. Now, what is one of the titles that you would say has been probably your biggest one so far?
Contributor wise, margin wise, it's different things. Like the highest backer count we've had is Death Knell #1. It was over 700. It's like 720 something.
Okay.
The highest amount dollar wise was Vanya 3, which was 33,500.
Nice.
And the highest margin, like the most we made off of all the costs of the book versus how much the book made, was also Vanya. That's been our highest margin so far on a campaign, and those do incredibly well. They're fast. The audience for it is super engaged with it, so it makes that. Yeah, Vanya is a very simple one to execute. Good art team there, so yeah, it just whips right along.
Now, Scott, question for you is you're dealing with a lot of the or some of the, at least the adult style, the NSFW titles that are on there, but the way that you're doing that is actually got more of a, how do I put this? It's more of a unique style to it that actually brings out the storyline more so than it does the other attributes, shall we say, of the book. Now, what kind of models are you using to kind of come up with these ideas to go ahead and turn it to that? Because it's no longer just a quote unquote dirty book. It's actually got content to it. It's actually got something, some purpose and some passion to it.
That's just my desire to overwrite everything I write. I think we initially tried this. We tried to go at it with Dead and Moon. That was Mike's first kind of pseudo attempt at this, with trying to capitalize on a female protagonist, very scantily clad, the risque covers, very NSFW interior. However, I went rogue and ended up writing a script that did not incorporate any of what he was really looking for. I'm very proud of the end product, but again, it wasn't quite the study or research that we were trying to conduct, or he was trying to conduct at the time. So this time, this go ahead, we wanted to delve more into it. And Hypergeist, I wasn't originally attached to. That was Mike's project, but he got so overwhelmed by running this business that he asked if I could jump in and just knock out a script quick. So 8 pages of it were already done by the time I kind of got in on it. So yeah, I spent the remainder of the pages injecting the story into it. But yeah, I think I honored him in #2 because I have quite a bit of the naughty in there. So I think I'm learning. I'm learning from Mike as we go along.
It's so funny too, because like I think everybody thinks they're honoring me with like elaborate sex scenes and stuff. Like And like, I don't care. Like, that's like, you could not have it in there. That'd be okay. But obviously, I'm a big fan of that stuff to a certain extent. You know, like it's like yeah, like the thing about Scott is he's a script doctor. So like, I could hand him something completely broken and he'll fix it. And Hypergeist wasn't broken by any means, but I knew that I wasn't going to be able to continue writing the series, so I gave Scott just some, not even really a whole lot of notes. Scott then went and built a world around it all very quickly, and he does that every time. It's amazing to see. He's a wizard, and yeah, he's injected personality into this that otherwise would not have been there. A romance that's in there that you wouldn't have really expected. Some of these kinds of things tend to be sort of shallow. So the fact that there's a true romance at the core of the story is really interesting. And then the beauty of the art, right? Like he knows when to back off and let the art breathe. So Scott's done a really good job of letting the environments play a part in the storytelling. So I think that's been really nice to see as well.
And that's a huge point that you bring up there, is allowing the artwork to breathe and have that moment whenever it needs to. Sometimes it seems too quiet, you know, in some stories that you read, because you're like, okay, what's going on here or whatever. And it goes into a page or two of, you know, nothing, no lettering. And then all of a sudden goes back into story. And other times you're like, okay, all I see is word bubbles. I don't even see art anymore because there's just so much going on. So you found that happy medium point on there to where it actually has that flow that it goes through there, that finally you get to a point where it's a significant point in the story that you really want to tell the story, but without using the words. And it's conveyed, I mean, perfectly on there. So I got to give you props on that, because I've read so many books, you know, doing different things. I mean, I'm a collector as is anyway, but other things that I get in, and a lot of times you get them and it's kind of like, okay, this is now a chore. Now I have to like take notes while I'm going through on the story and figure out where I am.
Yeah.
With yours, it almost reads like for lack of better terms, like a movie or a mini series or something like that. It actually has that flow to it. So it's actually very smooth on it, and still in cases, believe it or not, the NSFW content that does not take away from the story. That's the awesome part about this is not one of those things where you open it up and go, well, here we go. We're getting into this. This is just page by page by page of nothing but, and it's not that way. And it's very cool that you're able to take it that way and do that, because like I said, a lot of people don't really see the difference in what they need to do with that to convey a story. If you just want to have a quote unquote dirty book, that's one thing, but that's fairly easy to do. To come up with something like this that has story, that has, you know, depth to it, that has a continuation. I mean, I don't know how many stories you've got written out, you know, to continue this thing out, and it could be for quite some time, but it definitely has that feel of it could keep going for as long as you could continue and keep the passion going through this.
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, Mike's not giving himself enough credit for what he's done, because I think just the creation of the universe that Hypergeist sits in allows us to have that. It's a world that's accepted that sex is okay, sex is encouraged. You know, it's not taboo. It's this environment that is very open to that. June's a sex bot. She's one of millions probably just within this one city. It's just very common. It's not anything to be frowned upon. So we're not having to combat that in that world of this, you know, kind of taboo culture. It's just part of the norm. You know, it's currency. Sex is currency. It's like, so that alone, I mean, it was like throwing me a softball. I mean, it was, I could work easily within those confines and create something. And then, you know, injecting a love story in there just kind of felt organic to her and the character that she's in love with. He's in love with her. I couldn't have asked for an easier assignment, and I'm more than honored and privileged to kind of get to write in this world, because it is robust, like you said. I mean, we have an initial kind of arc run that we see for the first run. But I could easily see that going on for a few volumes.
Nice. And the ironic thing in all this is while you're writing this, of course, now they're coming out in the news with, you know, official bots that are out there now that are being released, and it's supposed to be the biggest Christmas gift that you can get this year.
Yeah, absolutely.
You can see where it can go 20 million ways wrong. You're just throwing that out there right now. But the story actually has where you incorporate some of the ideas of that, and it's still, like I said, it has depth to it. It has layers to it. It doesn't have just a flat front to it going, this is exactly what you expect as soon as you open this thing up. It is not what you expect. And it is one of those that you go, I want more. I need more of this. So that's awesome that you're
It's
able to do
awesome.
that, and that Mike was able to create that world, like you were saying, because by creating that world, it draws people in from the very beginning. And then you've got people that are actually paying attention to the entire series, not just a one off.
Yeah,
That's
that's well
that's
said.
honestly the most challenging part too, is the inception of an idea, right? I mean, coming
Mm-hmm.
up with that spark, and I struggle with that a lot. You know, every now and then I'll get like a periwinkle that comes into my brain, but then Mike just kind of rapid fires this shit in like our group chat. He's like, "All right, I got 3 ideas. Who wants them?" It's stuff like that. So it's refreshing because I struggle on that piece. I can, once I'm given the dough, I can quick make a pizza pie out of it.
Mm-hmm.
But it's the putting the dough together I struggle with. So I mean,
Yeah,
it's a good collaboration that we got.
yeah, that is because like that's as far as I can get sometimes. I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
idea, set up some rules. Here's some things I'd like
Mm.
to see in the arc, and then let them
And
fill in all the details.
that's usually the hard part, though, if you think about it.
I
Yes,
mean,
so.
I,
Yes,
I,
so.
I have to admit, from my standpoint, since I am writing, I'm co-writing one right now, and then I'm writing my own for the first time as well. So I know now, because I've had enough guests and things like that, and I've talked to y'all before as well, and so many other people. And it gets to the point where you're talking about it, and you're like, "Oh, I can still do this. It's okay." And then you get down to where you're actually starting to write or type it out or whatever, and you're like, "And nothing. I'm blank. I got it right here, but I can't get it here." And
Yeah,
sometimes you got to have that extra brain that goes over there that completes it. That you're like, okay, I've got the rules, like you were talking about, Mike. The rules, the world is set up this way. Now I need your perspective on this, Scott. What do you have? And y'all work together, and you come up with
yeah,
what we have now. So that's awesome that y'all are able to work together and have that.
agreed.
I think we've been working together for 3 years, something like that, Scott.
I think was it like 2017? I don't remember when Undercity came out.
I have to look it up. 3 years
Been a
didn't
while.
seem right. 3 years
No,
didn't seem right. Yeah.
yeah,
Scott
Undercity
answered
was
that
our
pretty quick. He
first
was like,
show.
"No, it's been much longer, much, much longer."
Yeah,
I
it
might
felt
have
like a
known Scott
decade.
longer than I've known my wife. So hold on.
Yeah, I think we met in like
2019.
2014, no, 2019.
Undercity
Okay.
Tales was launched on Kickstarter in July of 2019. So
Oh,
we
okay.
probably started working on that about
Yeah,
late 2018.
yeah.
So 4
Yeah, I
years.
met Mike in I think 2014. I met Mike. We were, because I ran Legend of Everett Forge Kickstarter. He was doing Dragonfly at the time. Um, my Kickstarter like just freaking bombed in beautiful historic fashion. And I owe
Did it,
Mike so
John?
much because, oh yeah, I think I got like $800 on a $3,000 goal, and it just kind of died there. But
Really?
I remember reaching out to Mike and just like picking his brain on stuff, and I think I copied a lot of his ideas from my second Kickstarter. But he was the one that encouraged me, because I was like, I think I might just give it up. I'm like, clearly they don't, but he's the one that kept pushing me. Ed, I mean, he pushed me with Periwinkle. So, I mean, I owe the guy.
No, that's awesome that he's able to give you that nudge and that push to where you don't give up and that you keep pushing, and you actually pushed yourself to the point
Yeah.
now where you're putting out some very quality, stuff that's going on out there and staying busy with it. The thing that I can't get though is you're doing it in different genres. You're not doing it like you're only doing it in a fantasy or a sci-fi or whatever. You're actually doing it in all these different genres and things that are out there. How do you split your mind on that? I mean, how do you go from Periwinkle to Hypergeist? I mean, that's two polar opposites right there.
Yeah, I thought about that the other day too, because we got another one in the works, Monster World, which is kind of an all ages. So I really do. We have the spectrum covered
Hmm.
as far as what we've
Yeah.
got, because we got the NSFW, we got kid books, but we're even talking about maybe revamping the kid book a little bit. But I think it's just my genuine love, and I think that's why Mike and I get along so well, because we both just love like that 90s, 80s, 90s blockbuster, era we grew up in. We were living in the movie theaters probably the same exact times. And my mind just kind of always like I loved horror movies as much as I loved sci-fi. I loved, romance, rom-coms. Like there's just no genre I don't like as far as what I consume. So I think it was just pretty easy then just to start to regurgitate that in one form or another.
Yeah, you nailed it. That's we're always looking for something that's very I guess escapism is the word, like genuine adventure and escapism is if it's a fun and exciting idea and it's something that I would want to see, as a summer blockbuster, then that's kind of the stuff that we'd like to do. It's like not psychological horror thrillers, which you see a lot of that. And I'll say that like that's a bad thing. I'm just saying like that stuff's not, it's intelligent to read and it can be engaging in its own way and appreciated for it, but it's not fun. Like it's like no one's sitting there saying, wow, this is a really fun read right now. I'm having a blast.
Yeah, exactly.
We want to do that for people.
And speaking of fun, I'm going to go ahead and share my screen right now because we're going to go ahead and go over the Kickstarter a little bit. But the first thing I want to bring up is right there in the middle, right underneath Comics Wellspring for your printer. It says Bad Bug, and it says it's wild, it's fun. That could not be any better, presented out there for what you all do and what all you're presenting as far as your books and everything. Because you even said just now, you want to have something that's action, that's fun, that's you got your escapism. That right there shows that that's exactly what y'all do and what y'all have on there, and that's what to expect. And you can definitely see that influence from the 80s, 90s, the movies. You can definitely tell that era had a huge influence on the things that you do, which is awesome because not only are you able to get it for the guys like us who grew up in that time, but even the younger crowd I'm noticing is kind of reaching out and trying to see what you've got going on because you got that draw to them as well. So I got to ask, how do you present this marketing wise to the younger crowd to get them involved as well as the older crowd? Because we got to have a general draw anyway, because we grew up with this kind of stuff. We already had this look, in the 80s, 90s, but the younger crowd is kind of looking at this going, I don't even know what a modem is. What are we talking about here?
Right.
Yeah, right.
So how do you actually market for the younger crowd as opposed to just the those of us that are more established, shall we say?
Yeah, that's I think that's what we're trying to learn right now, actually. So I don't know if I have an answer for you. Monster World is going to be the first book that we do that will be targeted towards all ages crowd. And I think we're going to see the success of that more as we go to conventions than we will from crowdfunding.
Okay. Yes.
Yeah.
So we're looking at this one a little differently than what the status quo is for us. We're going to see how this one performs when we're selling to families and stuff like that. Because when I'm at conventions right now, the erotic library is just under wraps. Like I have a menu that people can look at, and if they want to see something, I bring it out. But what I have displayed is the age appropriate stuff. So, or stuff that isn't age appropriate. But anyway, I noticed that I couldn't sell to kids and families so well.
Right.
Like there was a big market there that we were missing out on from conventions. So that's what this is aimed at. So we'll see how it does, and I'll come back with an answer once I figure out the marketing piece. How we market to every demographic. That's my number one fascination right now, is how to market to people.
Exactly.
The reality is kids don't read comics, not a lot. Okay, like it's not like, and this is from a sample study. This is just my own personal experiences talking with people at conventions. They bring their kids to the conventions, but the kids aren't excited about the comics. They're excited about everything else that's there.
Right.
So they're just drawn to a different. They're drawn to something different. So if I can go to a parent and say, "Hey, there's stuff for us big kids, but there's also some things that we do for kids.
Yep.
Here's one that you can give your kid and see if they like it. It's clean, for the most part, and you can test the waters with this one. And it doesn't have to be a Spider-Man where they had to read 400 other issues to get what's going on.
Yeah.
Right.
So it's kind of I think we looked at it as a simple gateway into the other brands. I think there's a second title that we're going to have that will be an all ages book, depending on the success of this.
Excellent. Now, speaking of all ages books, I just want to go ahead and bring up that the one that we're showing on Kickstarter is not an all ages book.
Yeah, I should probably clarify. Exactly.
Just making sure everyone's aware of that. We're going to go through and show this, and this is Kickstarter friendly, so we're okay on that. But just the main picture alone, you can already tell it draws you in. It's got an effect that actually makes you wonder what exactly is going on. You can understand that she's a robot and everything, but there's more of an evolution process to her. And you see that just from the cover alone, which is awesome to see. But also the colors that you see on here are the colors that are involved in the story as well. So it's not just, eye candy just for the beginning. You can actually go through in the story and you'll see a lot of that in there. And I love how y'all are consistent with that in the interiors as well.
Yeah, that's my biggest pet peeve is when you buy a book and the cover's like with this one and you're going and it's just a total different vibe in the interiors. Like I absolutely hate that. So we've definitely steered clear of that. I think that's one of Mike's strongest talents too, is pairing the right people together. And I think with Carrie and AZ together on this book, it's just next level. And they mesh so well, especially in the interiors.
That's really one. I didn't mean to cut you off, Scott. That was something that I really got excited about. I love building art teams, getting like the people together.
Mm-hmm.
And this one, what's funny about this one is, it was just well, let's see what happens. Okay, this was not planned by any means. I knew that I really liked Carrie's line art. It was very clean and open, and I know that AZ. Volt he's a painter, he's a color wizard. So what we needed was really good line art that lets the colorist explore the room.
Right.
And that's how we got this. So that was my theory that we would get something like that, but it blew away the expectation that I had for sure. They definitely impressed me a lot.
Now it says on here that it's fans of erotica, cyberpunk, Ghost in the Shell, and Blade Runner. I think that was perfect that you put on there that it says that, because even just that one cover that we're seeing right there has got those elements in there. And that's before we even start delving into the story itself. So, that's a very good way of kind of breaking it down for what people are looking to getting into. And I think the people who are fans of any of those would absolutely love the series.
That was the hope. Awesome. The belief was that if we removed the mature scenes from the comic, there's still a story that you can follow there.
Right.
And the core concept is just when does at what point in the life cycle or the evolving of a species or an entity does it become completely independent and make judgments freely without influence? Mm-hmm. So free will is just like a concept in this, and that's what she's looking for. She's trying to take her collar off, Mm-hmm. And people have been asking, how does she have free will if she's falling in love and she's going, she's spying, she's breaking into places, she's doing all these things. Doesn't she already have free will? And we're not really entertaining a lot of the questions or the answers right now because there's purpose to that. Stick with us, just don't ask too many questions. They're going to get answered eventually, but humanity and really identifying where the line's drawn between influence decisions, control decisions, and when you actually are making the conscious decision and you have absolutely free will to act on it. That's an interesting thing to explore, I think.
Oh, absolutely. It brings up so many, like we were talking about earlier about the layers, that are involved in this. I mean, it just brings up so many different viewpoints that you can have on one story, which is awesome because that means you don't have to read it just once. You can go back going, now let me look at it this way and read it and see what I come up with on this. It'll change it up the more you read it.
Yeah,
totally.
Now, two things I absolutely love. It was up here on this one right here where you did the zoom panel of her with the face here, and then all of a sudden the zoom panel with her winking. I love that because a lot of people will do where they just would have the wink by itself, and it's okay. It conveys a message and it's done, and that's cool and everything. This one actually has where it has the progression of that on there, and I love how it makes it where it's almost like this is now jumping off the page to me, and she's actually winking directly at the reader. I love how that's set up because now I'm no longer reading; I'm actually part of the story. So that was very cool how y'all set that up.
Yeah, completely intentional too.
Nice.
I promise you.
Carrie's got a very cinematic
This is the
approach.
page I like. I like this page a lot.
She chooses very unique angles to shoot from. I say like she's a cinematographer, but like to me, they're shooting from this angle when they're doing the art, and it's just, and I just got to give kudos, especially in that panel right there, that with the Officer Nakamoto.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
That one right there. Carrie is insane at drawing the human hand, because like I know a lot of artists hate it and they avoid it, so they'll cut hands out of panels as often as possible. She does the opposite, and she's like, how often can I put a hand in a panel? And then super, because look at that hand. I mean, I've mentioned that to her in the chat. It's just bonkers that she's got the hands and feet. Like, I don't know. I'm probably nerding out, but she's so talented.
Well, and again, what got my attention? Yeah, what got my attention was the evolution that's in here, because she's got the white hair here, and you see the evolution of it turning colors here instead of just being a different color in a different panel. So it's really cool to see that progression on there, because now this is no longer just a comic in 2-dimensional. It's almost like it's 3-dimensional and happening right in front of me.
Cool.
And that's what I said to the group too the other day, is like, you can tell when an artist, a writer, even in our letterer too, Eric, he's amazing, when they've actually read it and understood the assignment rather than they're just going through the motions, drawing exactly what you described. You can tell Carrie, AZ, Eric, they all read the script, they get what we're doing, and they're enhancing it. Like, they're taking whatever we're writing and then they're elevating it like tenfold. So that's when we're fortunate. I've only had that experience once before, and that's with Arturo and Periwinkle. Usually it's just they're going through the motions, and that's fine. I mean, they're doing what they're being paid for, but I love it when they're just invested, like we got with Hypergeist.
Mm-hmm. And I do love how you have the prints available for any of the covers on there, because you can buy the book, once, have a good cover that you want to have for a reader, if you want to get another one to slab or whatever, something like that. But if you wanted all the covers and not have to have all the books, in hand and try to figure out which one to show off or whatever, by having the prints available, that's nice to be able to have that, because you can show those off. And these things look like, actual art prints. They don't look like comic book covers at this point. They actually look like they should be in a museum, not a museum, but a
exhibit.
Exhibit, yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Yep. I mean, I have a bunch of them up along the walls down here in the shipping center. Like, I'm looking at a ton of different covers that people done for us, and it's nice to see the art in this way. There's none of the noise are on the covers, right? Like, it's not the dressing and the logo. Although we love our logos. I mean, we really go through a really annoying process to make sure we get a logo right. But we Scott knows, we just finished one, and we're still tweaking things on it. But anyway, taking that off and being able to let people just have the piece of art, collect the piece of art, is kind of nice.
Yeah. And then, of course, this option of holochrome. I mean, that cover screamed holochrome in the first place. So to see that it's actually an option, I cannot wait to actually see what this looks like, because I can only imagine how immersive the coloring and everything would look with the holochrome on there.
Well said. Same thing with Zach's cover. Zach is a cover artist that I've just been starting to work with, and really he's just now coming into being a comic cover artist. Mm-hmm. He's done a lot of visual art for a very long time, but he's messed with holochrome for years, holofoil and holochrome and all that. He's been doing that stuff for years. So when I found that out about him, because I didn't know that at the beginning, when I found that out about him, I was like, oh, well, we're going to have you just do our holochrome covers going forward, because he's going to know how to make them the right way to make a pop. And I think this cover that he made right here is a great example of that. We were only going to do one holochrome cover, but then I saw Zach's piece as well, and was like, we need both of these.
Exactly.
These both need to be holochrome.
Yeah.
And then for the metal, you start, because I mean, again, that is just such a gorgeous, print that's on there that just once you put that in metal, I can only imagine, with the glimmer and the shine, the shine off of it and everything, how well it's going to look.
Yeah. I think there's a coldness to it as well, just because she's positioned on, the outside of a building overlooking the city, right?
Mm-hmm.
And not a lot of the other covers do that. So this one feels much more lived in and realistic.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's my favorite one.
Mine too.
And it's also got all of the metal from the city and everything. So by having a metal cover with that almost gives it the feel of you're now, with her on there taking the picture.
Yeah.
And then of course the regular covers to get in here for the paper covers, you start off with that's cover A. I'm going to say right now, for a cover A, your starting cover, that is phenomenal. Just right there by itself. It's almost like, okay, that's the one I want. And then you start going through going, and I want that one. And I want that one.
Right.
There's so many great covers and great, pieces of art that are in here. Again, like I said, it's great that you have the print option on there to at least be able to get those that way as well. But these are gorgeous that are on here. And they're different perspectives of the character as well, because if I'm not mistaken, these are all the same character, correct?
Yeah, June.
Yes.
June. Yep. I like this one a lot too. It's not doing as well as some of the other covers, which blows my mind, because that's the best face, I think, out of all of them. She's gorgeous there. And the hair's really fun in that one. I love the robots with the different expressions on the screens.
Mm-hmm.
It's just
I
love that one.
Those are cool.
Mike DeBalfo does a lot of covers for Zenoscope, and
I've had many conversations with Mike. He's got a definitive style that as soon as you see it, I mean, I didn't have to see the name. As soon as I brought it up, I was like, yep, I already know. The only one that's close to him, of course, is his protege is Marissa Pope. She's actually got a style that's similar, not quite the same, but similar. So it's sometimes whenever I have them side by side, it's kind of a little bit of a challenge figuring out which one is which. But yeah, that's definitely Mike's work.
Marissa did a cover for our next series that Scott also wrote.
Nice.
Marissa did the one with Headwind where Bobby's sitting down on the ground and the sun's setting behind her.
Oh,
with the orangish hue. Yeah, that's Marissa. Yeah. Marissa did that one.
That's awesome.
Nice.
I really like this guy too.
Yeah, the cityscape and the way that the hair goes around there and everything, that's awesome.
Yeah. I really like it. It's framed really well. Composition wise, I think that's the coolest one. Next to cover A.
Yeah. And then of course this is the one that we were talking about where he was doing the holofoil, but you got it in regular as well.
Mm-hmm.
But that screams that it has to be holofoil. This got my attention whenever I was first scrolling through, because I was like, I could see this one in a metal, just simply because of all the metal arms that are on there and everything. Just gives it.
Yeah, we could have done that. Didn't think about that.
But it's got some really cool stuff, or even a spot foil. That would be, oh gosh, yeah.
Yeah, one of the stretch goals is going to be that the logo will be done in spot foil for everyone.
Nice.
So it looks like we're going to get there. CB Zane, really terrific cover artist. I love him paired with Sanju.
Oh yes,
Sanju is a color wizard. I've handed, and it's not to say this about CB. Like this is a great combination. These two working together on a cover. I love that. But something about Sanju, the colorist, is I've given him covers that I wasn't impressed with in the past, and he's made them marvelous. So when he gets to work with a great artist like CB, it's just it's just a bonus, really, you know. So I like the way that one turned out.
Oh yeah. And Doxina, yes.
Doxina is so funny because they like to do frontal nudity. Like they're big into it. So the detail that they put into it is quite a bit, you know, like a very, very disciplined painter. I know Scott's over here like snickering and laughing. But like it's
Very
true.
detailed.
Like, yeah, they know what they're doing, right? And they do it well.
For sure.
And Daxine is probably one of the most consistent performing cover artists that we've used. Like we get a lot of backers for Daxina's covers every time.
Mm-hmm. And then
That's first time working with Fernando.
I was supposed to say I'm not familiar as much with Fernando. I've seen, I think, one or two other projects that's been worked on by him, but that's about it.
Yeah, funny thing was someone recommended him, and then I talked to him, and he was super busy at the time, and I guess I forgot that he had already said no, and I stumbled back onto his account again and sent him a message, and then realized that I'd already sent him one, so I just tried again. And then he was like, actually, yeah, I've got an opening. So persistence pays off. Our good friend Summer Dale, he does a lot of covers for us.
And that one is great too. I love the coloring style on there because it's so neon. It's almost like cover A to me. It's got that where it pops right off the page with the colors.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, she did a great job there. And then Ed's cover. Ed's funny. It's a pretty, it's like an anime style.
Mm-hmm.
But then the coloring, the texture kind of makes you second guess that.
I
Yeah.
mean, you've got some great options on here for things on here. And the cool thing is that they're all consistent on the price. They're $20 for the regular and $30 for the NSFW, which is great because that way there's none of this having to go through and keep a notebook handy going, this one was 15, but this one's 35, this one's 45.
I hate that when people do that. you keep your prices set. If you need to bump things up $5 or drop things by $5, okay, whatever. But you know, if you try to keep things consistent so that way it's easier for people to shop.
So what was one of the covers that you got in that was one that just really caught your eye right off the bat and you were like, I can't wait to see this one in progression? Like I'm talking about all the way from stick figure pencils to where you're like, I can see where this can actually pop off the page.
Oh, Carrie and AZ's cover A.
Nice.
Big time. Carrie had an illustration that she showed me in passing. It wasn't what she had submitted for the cover for issue 2, actually. Mm-hmm. She was just showing me some other things that she sketched, and I saw a sketch of this, and I was like, oh, God, there you go. Do that.
Mm-hmm.
And then she went in and obviously added more on top of what was already there in the sketch and came up with something really unique. So obviously I wanted to see how easy he was going to color this thing. And when we got back the colors, it was like, you know.
Nice.
Yeah.
And that's awesome whenever you get something that you're actually like, okay, I love the pencils. I'm wondering, you know, how much better is this going to get with colors? And then you see it and that's like you said, you go, it just explodes off the screen because you weren't expecting it.
That's it.
Oh yeah.
So I mean, we've got, you know, with Hypergeist 2, how many pages are we looking at on this one?
24.
24 pages? Okay.
The number's always 24. That's the thing. I don't know why you stopped and had to think about that, Scott, because I'm like, dude.
Because I can't. There's so many. There's so many titles that we got. Some are 26.
If you do 22, no, they're.
I've written 26. We got them. We got them.
Hypergeist 1 was. We added 2 pages.
That's where I was confused.
It started as 24, and then we added 2 pages. So fair enough. Never mind.
So from now on, Scott, you just got to do the Rain Man thing. Every time you're asked how many pages, you'd be like, yeah, definitely 24. Definitely 24.
Yes.
No, I mean, that's cool. I mean, you're doing so well on the campaign, and I mean, it is flying. and you've still got, as of the date of this recording, you still got 2 weeks left. So you're at that dreaded lull. You're at that period where everybody goes, I hate this because it doesn't do anything. Have you experienced where it's gotten into that pause, or are you still kind of getting that forward motion off of this? What are you seeing?
It's a good question. And what I've seen,
Sunday, I think Sunday was the start of our pause because I think we were consistent. We didn't have a drop off like normal. But Sunday, I think, was the first. Sunday or Monday was the first day we dropped below like $1,000, which is insane to me because I've never seen that in any campaign I've run or been part of. So, because normally you get that steep drop off after day 3, and like I think our
Right.
day 5 actually exceeded day 3.
Yep.
yeah, it did. It did.
Yeah.
These have such unusual patterns. It's the drop off. We've had $1,400 in increases since Sunday, and that's been the smallest gain.
Yeah.
So it still has good momentum on its bad days, I guess, is what we're seeing. But that might change this week, though, right? I mean, the next 2 weeks are the 2 weeks before Christmas, so there's going to be some people, I think, that realize that they probably doubled down on this and probably shouldn't have, and we might have some people back off. We'll see what happens.
I mean, I say they keep it, if they keep on giving. We'll just go with that.
We're pleased with the success that we're seeing in December, though. That's the big thing. We're like, it's really cheesy, but we're pretty grateful for the people that keep coming back and supporting us because we know we're putting out a lot of books, and there's a lot of people that just keep coming back and backing everything that we're doing, and we appreciate that. I mean, there's part of a guilt of feeling like we're hogging people because we're doing that too, but like we're kind of appreciative that we're getting this kind of momentum and we're getting this kind of support. So, you know, we're pleased with how well Hypergeist is already doing. Even if there was no more growth from here all the way to the end of the campaign, it's still a win in our books. So,
Well, I mean, you're sitting on 461 backers. Realistically, you'd be hitting probably at least 500 backers by the time this ends. It would be more if it wasn't hitting, you know, like you said, right at Christmas, because that last 2 weeks, or I'm sorry, 2 days, the last 2 days they sent out the emails for the, you know, reminding everybody to get on there. And normally everybody would be jumping up on there. You can already see with Christmas, they're probably going to be like, ooh, ouch. I already got a diamond ring for the misses and this, that, and the other. So, you know, but it's cool because you do have the digital option on there as well, which is great for people to go ahead and at least have it in their possession to be able to read it and keep up with it. Plus, that's great for your overseas readers so that they don't have to pay so much into the shipping on that. Are you doing overseas shipping, or are you only doing domestic?
No, we're doing overseas.
Okay. Because I know they upped the price on quite a bit of that. And whenever I saw my jaw hit the ground.
I just came across that today. So, like, when we started shipping out stuff, I was like, "Oh, the holiday rates kicked in."
Yes.
Damn it.
Yes.
Damn it. It sucks because, you know, we've got some pretty awesome supporters overseas, but we have to charge the crap out of them for the shipping.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. Now, the question that I've got for you, because we've had some issues, some other people have brought up, you know, with, of course, Postal Service is having some problems with actually getting the packages there intact, some more than others. Have you had many situations where you've had the backers actually reach out to you saying it didn't make it here in one piece, it came in many pieces, and then you had to go ahead and replace that? How did you go ahead and fix that?
Yeah, that just happened. This one backer showed me a package that he got. I can't remember what country he's in, but he showed it to me, and it looked like it had been opened and then repackaged because it arrived in a different package than the one that I shipped it in. And it looked like an animal had chewed it up. Like the edging on it looked chewed up. So part of me was thinking, did this backer's dog just chew on this and he's blaming like the Postal Service for this? But it doesn't matter. I didn't question it. It doesn't happen very often.
Right.
But that one was pretty egregious, so I just replaced it off for him and shipped it out. So it doesn't happen. It doesn't happen that often, though.
We are one more thing before I get to this, though. we actually have, you got number 2 is available on here on the campaign. Do you have like an add-on to go ahead and get issue number 1 in case they missed that one?
We do it with the erotic series. We do not do cross-pollination.
Okay.
You can catch up on previous issues of that erotic title on that erotic titles campaign only.
Right.
But as for the standard Bad Bug titles, you can pick them all up as add-ons on each campaign that you do.
Okay.
It seems to work better that way because I've seen people. Best example of that is Midnight Highway 3 that we just had.
Mm-hmm.
We had people that backed Midnight Highway 3, added on Midnight Highway number 2, but they already had Midnight Highway number 1.
Right.
So those are people that we missed when we ran the Midnight Highway campaign for number 2.
Mm-hmm.
So it's nice seeing that, but along the way, what they're doing is they're adding on Discordia or they're adding on Dead End Moon, and what's great about that is it's people that, hey, while I'm here, let me get this impulse pickup of this title and those sorts of things. And that's really helped us, I think, grow our title outreach more than anything else, is just making them all available on the campaign like that. So yeah, we're always going to offer that.
No, I mean, that's awesome. And that's what I was meaning is mainly for Hypergeist, is as long as you have an availability to get issue number 1 in case, because you don't want them to come in and be right in the middle of the story and be like, I have no idea what's going on. But then again, it almost holds together as a single, issue by itself. There's a few questions you could ask about it, from issue number 1 if you didn't have it, but at least it would be a little more of a standalone. And I appreciate, y'all doing that and not having it where it's just complete, dead airspace. You get into it going, I have no idea what's going on. Therefore, I don't want to, keep reading this thing. You can read this thing out of order and it would still make sense.
That's Scott's writing. So all credit to him.
Very cool. Now, we're getting towards the end of the year, and finishing out 2022, moving into 2023. You've already, told us your schedule for 2023, which is absolutely insane. I'm looking forward to watching that thing go ahead. And I would say I'd have you on for each of your campaigns that are on there, but it'd just be the Bad Bug show. It just wouldn't be a hell of a show anymore.
Fatigue would
That's all right.
for you, Phil.
But ending out the year, let me ask you, what is one piece of advice that you would give to yourself if you could go back in time to the beginning of the year? Just one piece of advice you give each of yourselves back then.
Damn.
You got to answer this, Scott.
We ask the good questions every once in a while here.
I'd probably say just enjoy it more, because it was such a packed year and it almost felt too good to be true to finally get to do the writing that I wanted to do. And whenever you get to somewhere you wanted to be for ever, I think you're too scared that it's gonna just disappear. So I just be like, hey, just enjoy it, because you'll have it for a little while yet. So but yeah, you're just, at least me, I'm paranoid, so I'm always thinking the bottom's gonna drop out and this is all gonna be gone in a blink of an eye. But yeah, I've been fortunate that I get to do this, because I've always said, I'm not looking to make money off this. I just kind of want to break even on it at the very least and just keep writing, because it is my passion. And even if I don't make any money at the end of the day, as long as somebody lets me make, pays for the art or whatever has to be done so my stories can be told, I'm happy with that. So that's probably what I would say.
Very nice. What about you, Mike?
That is, it made me change my answer, because I think the same thing. Because you're on to the next thing all the time, so you never really do get to stop and maybe appreciate what's been done through the year. So I think that's a good thing, because I would like to look back at just how much we've put out this year, and there's been quite a bit. I think one thing I'll probably give myself advice on was probably reached out to Scott more sooner, to help with more of our titles. And I'm only saying that because I'm on the show with you, Scott. I'd say the same thing about anyone else. I even say that about Bill right now. In this moment, I'm I wish I gave more to Bill. So
we love Bill. We love Bill.
I know. Anyway, Yeah, I'd say that would be the advice I give myself: is try to delegate where you can.
Yeah.
I mean,
And,
you definitely
and follow up too, because if someone's not like if they're not updating people or sending out updates on their campaigns as quickly as they should, make sure you're following up with them and doing your part to hold people accountable for.
Yeah. I don't know who you're talking about. I don't know who you're talking about.
It was a joke, really. Like there was just this like. So I do all the campaign updates for the most part, and I asked Scott to take one, and Scott kept forgetting to do that one. So I'd have to remind
In
him to
my
do it.
defense, it's for Periwinkle, and I feel very guilty that it's taken this long for the book to get completed. So it wasn't that I forgot. I just wasn't too excited to be like, hey, we're still not there yet.
Yeah.
But we're getting there. We're almost done.
Well, that's every job that anyone's ever had, though, too, right? Like every job that I have, I'm like, hey, we're not there yet, but we're getting there. We're growing. We're making the right decisions. We're almost there. And it never gets there. Okay. It never fully gets there.
We will get there with Periwinkle, though. I swear to God, we will.
We don't have very much left, right? There's only just like a handful of pages.
I got the last inked page the other day, so now he's got like 9 or so pages to color. So
nice.
Okay. What a bittersweet end to a long journey.
There you go.
Yeah, because that kickstarted a lot of it. That was
and just in time for Christmas too. Yeah,
right.
And just in time for Christmas, so it'll be right on time.
We're hoping.
Yeah.
We'll probably see that one hit in January or maybe February at this pace, I think.
Oh yeah. So, no, I'm not saying in hands by Christmas by any means. I'm just saying that it's actually in motion and ready to be. Yeah.
Yeah, the Christmas miracle's happening. Yes.
Exactly.
It's not the most Christmassy book anyways. I mean, Santa's dead, so it's probably better comes after Christmas anyways, right?
Hey, technically that's the #1 movie right now is Violent Night. So I mean, hey, it works.
I know, I want to see it. I haven't seen it yet. I heard it's great though.
Yeah, I haven't had a chance as of yet myself either, but it's definitely on the list. But
for sure.
I mean, y'all have had quite a bit going on. Y'all have had an amazing 2022, leading up to all of this and getting quite a bit done. There is a ton that's on your plate for next year that I am eagerly awaiting to see exactly what all is going on with all this. Like you said, not in stores yet. We definitely need to work on that to get a few more eyes on that and get some books in stores where people will go and be able to easily grab those. Might have to have a chat about that at some point too. See what I can work on my magic as well. But we want to get those out there because it's all about the passion that you put into your work. I say this on every single show that I'm on here, as I always push those creators that come on here that have that much passion they put into their work, because it means that much more to them for their work to be out there. The big two have, high rises dedicated to marketing and promoting and everything that's on there, and an unlimited budget almost. Whereas people that come on here, like my guest tonight, these are their passion projects they have out there. Like Scott already said, as long as he breaks even, can go ahead and pay the people he needs to and keep his dream alive and keep going with this, he's happy with that. But we'd like to go ahead and get him to where he can actually keep the lights on and keep the computer running and maybe some heat every once in a while would be nice. And maybe something to eat, just maybe a little bit. But there are things that you want to look into with this. And a lot of times it takes something very simple and easy as something that you cannot forget is the power of the finger, the correct one. If you can hit that share button and go ahead and share these things out. If it's not for you for whatever reason, or you can't financially support it for whatever reason, it costs you nothing to use the finger, the correct one, to hit that share button and get it shared out there. But also, if you are able to go ahead and back this thing, hit that share button as well. It actually triggers the algorithm again. People are not aware of that, but it actually pops that algorithm whenever you hit the share button after you've backed it, and it moves it to the top of the viewing again. So it helps all the time the more that you share. So the point is get on there, check this out. We're going to put the link up on here right now as I go ahead and kind of get to the closing part of this. But I've got the link that's actually embedded in the feed while you're watching this. So it's really simple to go ahead and click on it, go straight to the project that's there. But I'm going to go ahead and give full screen to Scott right now, and he's going to let you know why you need to go ahead and go over there to this project, what makes it different, and why his passion is so important in this one, and why you need to go ahead and make sure and see what all's available in there. So, Scott, you've got full screen on this one.
All right. Yeah, I mean, like we mentioned Blade Runner in the Kickstarter campaign. If you like titles like that, big inspiration Westworld for me. If you like those types of stories, you like your NSFWs with a little bit of story, a little bit of love, a little bit of intrigue. This is the book for you. Carrie, I mean, even taking my writing out of it, Carrie and AZ's expertise at drawing this world and just their drawing in general. I would just spend all day looking at stuff they've drawn and colored. And then Eric as our letterer, like I said to him in a chat, he knows how to give voices to characters through the lettering and his choice of placements of bubbles and all that. It's just I couldn't have picked a tighter team, a more organized team, and that all just shines through this book. So that alone is worth every penny of it. So that's why.
That is awesome, and that is great right there. Now, I'm going to go ahead and say right now, you've been paying attention to the show, watching this all the way through, and we're going to give Mike full screen on this one to let you know why you need to be paying attention to Bad Bug Media. If you've been watching the show, you kind of already have a grasp on that, but he's going to let you know why you need to go ahead and start focusing your attention over here, because they're about to take full stage on this one. We're going to give them full screen to let you know why.
Ooh, I like that. So all we want to do, and there's no agenda behind anything that we're doing at Bad Bug beyond just wanting to be entertainers, and we want you to have fun reading our books. So we are completely in the vein of wanting to be the next publisher that you can rely on to constantly produce fun content. So because of that, and because we're consumer focused and reader focused, you can ensure that we're going to listen to feedback and grow from that. So you're actually part of the development of this publishing brand by being a reader and being involved with us and supporting us. So for that reason, you're part of the journey too as we grow and expand our catalog. So you're not just a backer to us. You're not just someone that's just giving us money for a product. You guys are actually a necessary component to us continuing to do this. So you back us because you believe in what we're making and because you enjoy what we're making. And that's the goal. So, and if you're not enjoying something, we'll want to know why so that we can learn from that and get better as we go. And so that's something that you can guarantee from being a supporter of Bad Bug. And that's why you should support us, because we will listen to you.
That is awesome. I absolutely love the answer to that, because I can attest to that being true. I was actually honored enough to be a part of a focus group where we actually get to go in and look at a lot of stuff before it's released. And I love it because I can't talk about it. I'm biting my tongue throughout this entire conversation. But luckily, I didn't say anything out of pocket on here. But we want to go ahead and finish this off with one quick thing, because I want to go ahead and bring this up, because it's kind of a we're showing it off before it happens scenario. But there's one title that'll be coming out next year that we touched on once, that we're definitely looking forward to. It's coming out, which is Bobby Joe.
Yay.
And Bobby Joe.
I didn't know that was going to be on here. That's awesome.
Yes, that is going to be. I'm definitely looking forward to this one. Give us a quick synopsis on this one, Scott, on what exactly we're looking for in the storyline.
Yeah, Bobby Joe is our fiery little redheaded hillbilly. She lives in the Appalachia region, and she's got to take care of a little extraterrestrial problem that her town's got going on. And I gotta say, I think this, and I told a few people this, I think this is in my top 3 things I've ever written, been a part of, period. Again, another blossoming of Mike's idea, dropped it on us. Fiery redhead, baseball bat, double barrel shotgun. I'm like, okay, say less. Hillbilly. I mean, so we ran from there. I had like one request. I'm like, let her have a El Camino that she drives, and then I'm
Yes.
in.
Yes.
So he let me, indulged me there. But yeah,
he indulged me with that too, because I've always wanted to have an El Camino. So like when you say that, not. It's like say no more.
Great minds. Yeah.
Yeah.
And the Harley Davidson. So like we had like everything imaginable. It's just it's probably the funnest I've had writing a story in a long time. So I was very excited. I'm excited. I'm glad you showed it because it's the biggest thing I'm looking forward to in 2023.
Well, the reason I saved it for the very end is because whenever I asked Mike about, what was making, Bad Bug where everybody needed to start paying attention and focusing over there, that's one of the things. That's one of the many things that's over there that's coming up that y'all really want to pay attention to. But right now, don't miss out on the Kickstarter that's rolling around on the bottom here. The link's already in the feed. Jump over there, get involved any way that you possibly can. Don't miss out on Hypergeist 2. And if you missed out on 1, you can get caught up on that one as well. Excellent series. Definitely looking forward to seeing where this one's going to go myself personally. And gentlemen, I have had a great time having y'all back on the show again. I am looking forward to having y'all back on again. It's awesome whenever I get to have y'all on here because I always learn something a little bit new and different from y'all's company over there. Even though I've had y'all on a couple of times, it's really cool to have some new information each time.
That's cool. Yeah, well, that's because we're learning stuff. So there's always little things we're always trying little different things and tinkering, and so there's always something fun to talk about.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. Well, guys, thanks a lot. I really appreciate it. I'm going to drop y'all backstage right now. If y'all want to hang out, I'm going to finish up with my closing statements, and I'll be back here shortly.
Okay, thanks.
Good.
All right. So, hey, we had Bad Bug Media up here. We had Scott Wilke. We had Mike Tenner up here. We were talking about Hypergeist 2 on Kickstarter was the current campaign. And then we were talking about a lot of the Bad Bug products that are out there. Now, I usually always have the closing statement that always has something to do with the guest. I have since changed things on there because with my new show that'll be releasing the new year, Positive Influence, that's going to be the one where I'll do the closing statements with that. With this one, kind of letting you know what to expect with future shows that are coming up, just so you'll know. But make sure, please, please, please remember, if you like what you're seeing and everything, go ahead and like, subscribe, and share today. Get on that YouTube and make sure you subscribe so you don't miss out on the content. We have the brand new wrestling interview show. We'll be starting up next year. We're looking at about the second week in January is whenever we come back from our hiatus on that one. We should be having that one starting up. And I've got some amazing guests coming up, including we're working on getting Blumhouse in. Yes, that's right. The creative team from Blumhouse production company, which does a lot of horror stuff, we're planning on getting them in to go ahead and do an interview with them. I'm more than looking forward to that, along with so many other things that are going on. We've got celebrities coming in. We've got some people from the music industry. We've got wrestlers coming in. We got different pop culture industry people coming in. It's all about trying to get to those eyes on everything that's going on and trying to bridge that gap. We're no longer trying to set it up in the same circles every single time, and every single person that's here is the same people that look at everything over and over again. We want to start reaching out and increasing that marketing share so that everyone has a chance to see everything that's available. If you're a wrestling fan, you may like comics. If you like comics, you may like something in the music industry. We're trying to bridge that gap with all of that. It's my little part that I can do with the show that I'm planning on doing. So like I said, if you like what you're seeing, go ahead and like, subscribe, and share today, and we will see you next time. So until next time, keep it in, y'all.